Luther Burden,
Stock on the rise.
his value's up. Josh Allen, his value is up. Kyler Murray, potentially Minnesota. We're still hearing a little bit of Atlanta, but Minnesota looking at potentially targeting Kyler as their replacement for J9, or at least give them the two options, and then Kyler would certainly not sign with a team he wasn't pretty much assured he's a starter, but at least you have the two options in case one thing went awry. And I do believe O'Connell and the Vikings are capable of reviving Kyler's career, just like Darnold and Kirk Cousins surviving over in Minnesota. We've got AJB, more New England rumors, more rumors that AJB's potentially, he's got a high price tag, but the buzz is real. The team's not shooting down the trade rumors, which is the smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire theory, that this is really, really real for A.J. Brown to be moved out of Philly. Sirianni does not want to be around him. We've got all of this and more. Kenneth Walker news, pricing himself out of Seattle is the going rumor right now, that Seattle will not pay $13 million a year is what he's requiring in order for his services. Charbonnet, how do we value that? Who do we expect to land on Seattle's roster? Because they're certainly going to bring in a Pacheco or a Rico Dowdle. I believe those are one of those players are probably likely. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
We're live whenever news breaks. We're live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're live, essentially, these are the three blocks you can count on. Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. That's the show right here. Midnight, most nights, midnight Eastern. And then breaking news, whenever news breaks, your boy goes live. We break it down. We dissect it. We do it live. We do it like no other channel does it. Meatloaf style, mashed potato style.
Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy.
Starting with the Kenneth Walker news, which I think is probably I don't want to say the biggest news after the DJ Moore news, which we already broke down on a whole compartmentalized live stream. But Kenneth Walker has, quote unquote, priced himself out of Seattle, according to Tony Pauline. And he's expected to make over $13 million a year. And this jives with exactly what I said when I said that the Seattle Seahawks were not going to be able to give him what the franchise tag was giving him. The franchise tag was not too far off of this number. And if the team wasn't willing to franchise tag him, then he was as good as gone in my mind. Because why would they not want to pay him for 1 year at about the same amount in a worst case scenario, right? You're going to tag him, you're going to work out a deal, but if you don't, you're paying him what he would cost per year anyway on the 1 year deal. So that tells you that a team, if they're not willing to franchise tag the player, and the number that the franchise tag amount is very low for running backs, it is, and you're sitting here going, okay, you're not going to pay him freaking $15 million a year, really? You're not going to pay him $13 million a year, apparently. So this is a player that's likely as good as gone. Where does he go? We've talked about KC being probably the favorite at this point, if I'm speculating, and that's just me. I don't know the answer to this. No one does, because everything's tight-lipped right now. It's not like you're going to have something sitting out there in front of you. Teams are playing coy. Anybody in the market for Kenneth Walker is not going to be telegraphing their every move. So we're in a speculative state right now, but KC's the most logical choice, because they have said we want to go big at the running back position. They have Patrick Mahomes coming back from an ACL tear. They need to lean on the run and ask Patrick Mahomes not to run as much himself. Therefore, they've said we want to go upgrade Pacheco. They let Pacheco go. And so what are they going to do? Go after what? Who's better than Pacheco? Like, I'm not saying Pacheco's great, but who's better than Pacheco? Kenneth Walker. Who's better than Pacheco? Jeremiah Love. Who's a massive upgrade over Pacheco? Those two. Travis Etienne. It's Etienne, it's Walker, it's Jeremiah Love, or you failed. It's a big L if you don't get Jeremiah Love, Kenny Walker, or Travis Etienne. KC, I believe, will have one of those three players. Feels like the front runner would be Walker. Why? Because he's the NFL MVP. I'm sorry, he's the Super Bowl NFL MVP. And this is a team that's going to say, hey, you want to come play with Patrick Mahomes? And Walker's going to say, hey, I'm the Super Bowl NFL MVP. And that sounds pretty good to me. That sounds really good to me. And New Orleans will be an attractive landing spot, sure. But are they as attractive as KC? No, they're not. Will money talk? Could a team like New Orleans pay more? Maybe. Will KC take at the number 9 overall pick a player that I believe is probably even 5 times better than Kenneth Walker? Not only future wise because he's young and fresh, but just in terms of the talent, it's not even close. And I love Kenny Walker, but Jeremiah Love is the number 1 running back in the combination of pools that we throw together that are rookies and free agents and trade prospective candidates. You throw all 3 together in one pool, that's kind of what this board is. You throw a player that you could still tag and trade. Hall is still on the table in a tag and trade because he's tagged. He could get traded. Probably not likely. ETN, free agent. Walker, free agent. Rico Dowdle, free agent. Tyler Algier, free agent. Pacheco, free agent. Love, number 1 running back, not only in the class, but a top 3 to 4 running back as a redraft player in 2026. You heard it here. No, not top 3 to 4. Top 3 running back in 2026 as a rookie. I didn't stutter. There's no equivocation. There's no crack in my voice. I'm telling you, Jeremiah Love, top 3 redraft running back. I don't care what anybody says.
Let him cook.
We need a Jeremiah Love video stat. I got to get on that. It's got to be a priority over the next 48 hours is to get the Jeremiah Love video cranking. But until then.
The Jupiter men. Jupiter is so large. Every planet in the solar system
until then,
it. There are no bigger monsters than the Jupiter men.
These guys are getting knocked off left and right in terms of being advantageous. What did we say for months? Go get Jahmyr Gibbs at 3, 4, 5 in your underdog drafts. Go trade for him while people are valuing him around 4 and 5 overall value, which everyone's like, he's number 4 or 5 overall. What kind of value is that? Well, now he's the number 1. So how does it feel? How does it feel to have sat on your hands when he was able to be traded for at 4 or 5 overall value, at running back 2, 3 value, mostly 2, and now he's the number 1 running back. Now he's going number 1 overall, and you're sitting here looking like maybe you didn't understand the assignment. But Smitty's a big name player. There's value to be had. Josh Allen, we'll talk about in a second and go back to the Jupiter board. But back real quickly on point with Kenny Walker. I believe KC's probably the most likely landing spot for Kenny Walker because Kenny Walker's getting to kind of almost have, dibs over anything. Walker's going to be more sought after than ETN because Walker's coming off an NFL Super Bowl MVP and just a remarkable outing. And what have you done for me lately? What do I remember seeing last? It's Walker. Now, why do I have him ranked this way? Because I personally have ETN as the number 3 running back in this pecking order. Now, again, Hall is tagged, but he still could get traded. He's not locked in. He can't get raptured, and the team surrender 2 first-round picks. That's not going to happen, but he still could get traded on the tag. And why would that happen? Let's say the Jets and Hall can't come to terms. Let's say Hall says, I want 15 mil. And they go, whoa. We're at 10. And he goes, I'm not signing at 10. Well, maybe we can meet in the middle. I'm not meeting in the middle. I want 15 mil a year. And then they start saying, well, how long is this going to drag out? The relationship gets severed. And that's how a tag and trade works. You're tagging the player. Think about like an auction. You're not going to bid $72 on a player that's in the 70s. And sometimes you might. This is a mistake. You never want to bid something that high on a player you're not willing to take home. And if put on your roster, and if you're sitting here going, oh damn, I'm going to throw 70 out there to drive the value up, that'd be the same thing as tagging a player and not wanting the player to play on the tag. So no team's going to tag Breece Hall, the Jets, and then not fully be happy with him playing on the tag. You're tagging him because you're trying to work out a long-term deal. And if you don't get the long-term deal, you're plenty happy with having the player play on the tag for 1 year. You can tag him again the next year, even though it's slightly more expensive. But this is a team that wants and has the intention to bring Breece Hall back. But that doesn't mean it'll happen. But will the fractured relationship fracture in time that teams haven't filled all their voids already through the NFL draft and free agency? That is the sticky part of this situation that is kind of unavoidable in terms of, getting in the way. ETN, where does he go? There's no talk about ETN. We keep hearing about Walker. We keep hearing about Hall. We keep hearing about all kinds of players, but we don't hear much at all about Travis Etienne. Does that mean because he's likely to go back, even though he didn't get tagged, it's a mutual agreement? Etienne doesn't want to go anywhere. He's already said, I don't want to play in any cold weather at all. That rules out some options, although this board right here, there are obviously a couple options here that would work for his criteria. But Etienne and KC does make sense regardless of what he feels about this or that or the weather or anything that might stand in the way. Etienne for KC is a good option. Etienne for the Commanders is also really good. Etienne in New Orleans is good. Etienne in Minnesota. Dare I say that, Etienne and Hall plug and play into any one of these spots and you'd have glory. Same thing with Walker. These are fantastic landing spots. Seattle's getting into the mix potentially as another spot. I don't have them ranked because they're kind of just, there's a lot of thought that they're going to go after somebody, but not somebody big, and they're very willing to wait for Charbonnet. This is good news for Charbonnet that Walker's not on the roster. Now, could Walker still get re-signed? Maybe. It's possible, but it sounds like, according to the report, as they said, that's not going to happen at the end of the day because of all the different Walkers getting priced out. But this could be, rumors the Chiefs could, or the Seahawks could shoot it down. We're in smoke season, as I mentioned. If anybody's been living under a rock, or you just didn't have a chance to catch the show and you do know what happened, but you just want to know my thoughts real quickly, DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills is fantastic for everybody involved practically. Now, I don't know that it hurts. The only person it could maybe hurt would be Caleb because he loses a weapon. But you've got Odunze, you've got Burden, you've got Loveland Rising, you've got Komet, you've got a ton of options, and now you have a second-round pick. Maybe they spend that on something else, so they should. They've got plenty of weapons for Caleb. If Caleb can't do it with these weapons, what are you going to do? So he's plenty of weapons. Odunze was kind of being held back because of DJ Moore anyway, so maybe Odunze steps up and does big things. But we do know that Burden is the clear winner. Burden and Josh Allen are the clear winners of these situations. DJ Moore is a big winner too because he now gets volume. So the big winners, Burden. Maybe I put Burden number one in terms of going not from rags to riches, because we had a lot of people love him this year, but he goes from a very, very low expectation, very excited low expectation with upside to now being drafted maybe way too high. We'll have to see where his ADP levels. I've heard two people already say he went top of 5 and mid 5 in a recent draft on Underdog, promo code Smitty, which we may draft tonight. And if we don't, make sure you're drafting using code Smitty, 50% match on your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. And on Underdog, on the big board, the little board, 200,000 to first place on the big board, 100,000 to first place on the little board. Little board's $3, the big board's $10. Why not try it? How fun to have draft night be any night you want. Draft night's any hour you want. You want to draft and make draft night right now? You go do that while we're on the show. But 5th round for Burden seems like we're creeping into a weird territory that I'm kind of glad I got tons of Burden shares already, because I don't know if I'll want to pay 5th round value. I might. Let's just see how it feels. We love him. He's certainly capable of it, but there are still a lot of mouths to feed on that Chicago Bear roster where Caleb holds onto the ball so long that that's why there's sporadic disbursement of the production. That's why he's a near 50% completion percentage quarterback. He hangs onto the ball too long, and that's going to leave a lot of inconsistencies. Now, can Ben Johnson fix that? Sure, it's possible. But Burden, could be on a 2 games on, 1 game off, 2 games on, 1 game off, 1 game off, 1 game on, 1 game off. I don't know that he'll be the definition of consistency with Rome Odunze, with Loveland breaking out. There's a lot of footballs that need to be divvied up, and so we'll see. And the Bears haven't done anything till the 4th quarter pretty much all year long last year, so we have to see that actually translate as well. But DJ Moore to the moon. DJ Moore gets to catch footballs from Mr. Josh Allen. How exciting is that for DJ Moore? He has been in weird situation after weird situation where he hasn't been asked to be the full, blown guy, or something ends up happening to the team. And now he gets to go and catch footballs from the number one quarterback in the National Football League and our number one fantasy football quarterback in the National Football League by a country mother freaking mile. Josh Allen on the rise, Luther Burden on the rise, DJ Moore on the rise. We don't talk enough about DJ Moore, the man himself, the man of the hour. Man of the hour. Why are we not talking about DJ Moore more? Because Burden's exciting, because Josh Allen's exciting, because there's a lot of other pieces. Colston Loveland might get more work, but we do have to talk about DJ Moore. DJ Moore has at least 1.5, 2 years left. I say 1.5 because maybe he has a great 1 year and then he starts playing great, for half a year and then falls off. Think Mixon a la 2024, where he's the best running back in football. Not saying DJ Moore will equivalent fashion be the number one or top 5 wide receiver, but I think he'd be a top 15 wide receiver. And much like Mixon was great, and then fell off week 11 and then was nothing. He hasn't done a single thing since. That's the kind of year maybe DJ Moore could have during his second season in Buffalo. Maybe he plays 2 great elite years and then falls off. He's 29 years old in April, so he starts the season fresh, 29 years of age, 29.3 years old. And that's great because there's literally no worries for me that he drops off this year. I watched a great player play football last year. I watched a guy that was elusive. I watched a guy that could easily be the number one wide receiver for, 20 teams in the league. This is a guy that's certainly capable of it, and now he gets the chance to shine with an elite quarterback. The last time this man played with an elite quarterback as a getting all the volume number one wide receiver, not sharing it all, was back when Fields was throwing to him in Chicago and they had no support whatsoever. So it wasn't a fair assessment of what he's capable of because he was facing number one corners. It was the only player that Fields could get the football to. This guy's been starving for an elite offense with an elite quarterback, and now he's got Josh Allen, who's the number one quarterback in the National Football League.
Let him cook.
I'm excited about Josh Allen probably more than anybody. Josh Allen, to me, is worth the second round ADP. If he does climb, in fact, into the second round, I'm paying that. That's not always getting priced out. That's a little too high. If he ends up going at bottom of 2, that's fine. If he ends up going mid 2, that's actually fine. He can play like this. In 1 QB, not 2 QB. 2 QB, let's not get stupid here. He's number 1. Okay, there's no discussion about anything. You're not getting a value. You're not doing anything. He's number 1. That's a whole different world. It's a whole different Spider-Verse. But Josh Allen in a 1 QB can play like this. I'm not saying draft him there. I'm saying back in the day, old school football. Raise your hand if you played football, fantasy football, when you were calculating things out of the newspaper. Let me know if you were playing fantasy football when the internet was barely around. Your boy started in the business in 2002. Internet was kind of really functional for about 5 years for the average Joe. ESPN, 5 years prior to me getting into the business, was ESPN loading one image on the home screen with dial-up at the computer lab. That's how you checked your NFL and ESPN scores. Fantasy football sites were not really that lucrative back then. They weren't even very functional. There's no tools online. Josh Allen back in those days would go number 1 overall. Now we've since changed scoring a little bit here and there. We've since we have so many QBs that fall, and this mentality of if you take Josh Allen early, which early is 3rd round, you're ridiculous because quarterbacks fall. Not on this channel, not on my watch. I've been screaming quarterback early and quarterback late. We love them both. We found Mr. Jalen Hurts in round 7, his breakout year, and we cleaned up on we've had a lot of situations like that brew up on this channel. JD5, his rookie year. And so we have those guys as well. Tyler Shuck, and Mahomes is going to fall to like round 8 because of the ACL. Justin Herbert's a fantastic steal, top 5 QB in the making this year. You can chew gum and walk at the same time. You can draft early QB. You can draft mid-round QB. You can draft later QB. You can make it all work until your heart's complete and full with all the different aspects of QB drafting. And Smitty, approved them all. But what I can't stand and what I'm a defender of is the QB early getting so much of a bad rap that you have people that literally think if you draft a quarterback like Josh Allen in round 3, you're at a disadvantage. One of the more ridiculous things I've ever heard, to be honest with you.
Take a big lap. We don't need your hating ass coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one.
Imagine thinking there wasn't 1,000 ways to win. Imagine thinking that drafting a quarterback later is actually more advantageous than drafting Josh Allen in the 3rd round. Imagine not having that much knowledge about ball that you think there's only one way to win. Imagine thinking that the apples comparison, you get somebody in round 6 or 7 at wide receiver or running back and you clean up with the pick and you get Josh Allen and that doesn't have a chance to be better or equal or slightly lesser, all those range of outcomes than the person that goes wide receiver, running back here and quarterback in 6 and 7. Imagine not knowing what in the hell you're talking about when it comes to early QB. Imagine going out there and telling people this in another format. You can't draft early quarterback. The Excel sheet tells you can't do it. I'm Excel sheet Eric. Thanks for watching the show. Josh Allen wins leagues in round 3. Let's just hope to God he stays in round 3. Let's hope Josh Allen can only climb to 3.1 because of the naysayers and there's so many quarterbacks that fall late. I heard it on another channel, Smitty. I heard it on another channel. Somebody said it to me. They said, Smitty, guess what? You can get a quarterback late.
On another channel. He's a repeating Roger.
Repeating Roger is correct. More news to come. Let me get all this out of the way here. DJ Moore, congrats. Welcome to the party, pal, as our boy Bruce Willis would say. And I'm very, very worried with all these celebrities getting left and right. They're just getting raptured from Earth. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. I've had a bad feeling Bruce Willis is man, that he's not doing good. Prayers up to Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is one of my absolute favorite, but I have a real bad feeling on that one. Prayers up to him. But welcome to the party, pal, is what I like to say when I look at DJ Moore, and I expect a top 15, 18 wide receiver season out of him. He's going to be an absolute, glorious mofo this year. Sean Tucker is a free agent, and I don't know what that means to you, but that's news. He's got a lot. We've had that on the board, but he's got a lot to fend and try and weed through to get in there. This right here, with Deshaun Watson, Browns OC, talking about this quarterback, this bounce back. Maybe he's a complete disaster. Maybe he's a waste of space. It looks pretty good right now in his warm-ups and training videos, though, I will say. But Deshaun Watson has to be a part of the equation at quarterback. This really could be one of those things, guys, where maybe, and I've been a big doubter of Deshaun Watson for the last handful of years, and I've been 100% correct because he's been nothing. He keeps getting hurt. He created a mess for himself. His career derailed. But there's a world where Todd Monken, he's a running quarterback, Lamar Jackson, the similarities. There's a world where this maybe is a revival situation. It could be. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be, or to a degree at least. In Superflex, you got to keep it in mind. He's definitely, got some appeal, and people forget about him. You don't even know he might even be available in some situations. But keep an eye on that. Jonnu Smith released from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's certain to get a job somewhere, so hang tight on that one. Mike Evans, this news, expected to get about $20 million per year in free agency. Mike Evans feels like he wants to go back to Tampa. I think it's in his heart, but I don't know that Tampa wants to spend this kind of money, and I think he will want money more than filling his heart. He didn't care about a void that much that will be in his soul by leaving Tampa. But this is a New England You also wonder if the Eagles if they trade AJB and then bring Mike Evans in for free, is that not a Howie masterclass move? I mean, we even thought about that or talked about that much. Imagine you trade away AJB, you get tremendous value, and you bring Mike Evans in for free. That is such a Howie move. Howie's gonna, there he goes. He did it again. How's he keep getting away with this? How's he keep the memes will be everywhere? How's he keep getting away with this? He can't get away with it. It's such a move. It's such a Howie move. Mike Evans in Philly would be as dangerous as AJB, especially if you're not using them, either one of them, to their fullest potential. But Mike Evans does one of his criteria, which I think he maybe consider that criteria being met by going to Philly, though. I mean, these players sometimes don't know what they want or what's good for them. Or they say something and they don't really know what time it is. So Mike Evans might think that his criteria is going to get met, but his number one criteria is that he gets volume. He doesn't want to be one of those players that, okay, he's winding down, I want to contribute. He has said he wants to go somewhere where he gets fed. And he might think that is New England. Or, I'm sorry, Philly. I think New England's still a strong bet. I think, Buffalo was a place, wouldn't it be amazing if Buffalo went and got Evans as well? Super Bowl odds would change. They won't, though. They barely go. They went after Amari Cooper at the tail end. They're going after DJ Moore at the tail end. I don't think that, I thought Mike Evans made some sense, though, but it doesn't seem like, I don't understand why they wouldn't go after Mike Evans, but Mike Evans is definitely a very, very big wild card this offseason. I can't wait to see where he lands. Kyler Murray, as we talked about, CBS Sports believes that the Vikings are considering signing free agent QB with Kyler Murray. They really should. I'm not saying that they shouldn't try to trade for Mac Jones still. I think Mac Jones would be number one on my list, but I think that this is better than people expect. This is much better than people expect. I don't think people realize that Kyler Murray, part of it is the scenery. Change of scenery is going to help greatly. O'Connell's the right man for the job. If anybody can salvage Kyler Murray and make him throw downfield to his wide receiver, it is O'Connell. Kyler makes JJ return to at least the 1-2 turn value versus we're holding our breath right now that JJ returns his 15, 16, 14, 17 overall ADP value. JJ's in round 2 right now. If Kyler gets signed by the Vikings, there's no reason why JJ shouldn't and won't climb to like the 1.12, 2.1, 2.3, 1.11. And Kyler's definitely not the best answer, but he's better and upgrading J9. And even if you like J9 and you think Kyler's going to go out and fail, well, then let him go fail, and then you put J9 back in if that's how you believe this thing could go and go well for you if you're a big J9 supporter. But Kyler and J9 is better than just J9. You understand what I'm saying? If you can't go get Mac Jones, he's not available. If you don't get Tua Tagovailoa, then and we'll have a report on that in a second, then what do you do? Like, what's your alternative? I kind of like Simpson, the rookie QB, the second best QB. That would make a ton of sense if they could figure that out. Brissett's kind of on the block if, in fact, the Cardinals do sign Malik Willis. So that'll be intriguing. If that happens, then Brissett could be on the move, but Brissett would be very cheap. But he'd be a good bridge quarterback, and then you could draft whoever brings in Brissett in a trade, or if the Cardinals were to, let's say, not bring in Malik Willis, Simpson paired with Brissett's beautiful. And if some team drafts Simpson, they could trade for Brissett. It would be beautiful. But I don't even think that, and I'm one of those advocates that I'd rather see Simpson just start. That's the way I look. I don't think sitting a year is even smart anymore, but to have both options in case Simpson's garbage is beautiful. That's why it's beautiful to me. And you can tell me why it's beautiful to you. You share our feelings about it. Darnell Mooney released by the Falcons. I'm sure his feelings are hurt. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where he could go. He could definitely maybe do well somewhere. Max Crosby. This is feeling like where there's smoke, there's fire. And where there's smoke here, there's like 2 or 3 fires now. CBS Sports talking about this situation where the Bears are a team to watch. There's lots of movement. There's a lot of Dallas Cowboy George Pickens rumors out there, which makes a ton of sense if both teams want to go in a different direction because of the complexities of their current situations, and let's swap the drama. Certainly in the cards. But I think what will be next is we'll hear a lot of that the Raiders shouldn't and won't be maybe trading Max Crosby. Part of that could be posturing, but I do believe Max Crosby, if you ask me, I'd rather have Max Crosby. I'd rather have Pickens. If you can do a Pickens trade, I'd rather have that. But aside from the Pickens Max Crosby complex deal, that wouldn't just be one for one. It'd be a complex deal with picks involved, maybe another player. But aside from Pickens, I would rather have Max Crosby and LV. I don't want him gone. I've said that from the beginning, but it does feel like it's very much brewing right now. Very much a very likely scenario. This Tua Tagovailoa news, a high-ranking team executive told CBS Sports that he had considered trading for Tua Tagovailoa if the Dolphins would send a first-round pick to take on the contract. I don't think anybody's sending a first-round pick. So that's kind of a nothing burger there. But Tua is a interesting player for like the Vikings if he becomes available and cut. Wan'Dale Robinson's on the radar for the Titans. That is an interesting pairing. It makes sense. I could see it. It does feel right. It feels like that's what the Titans would do. I think the Titans could do that and still draft Carnell Tate, but Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson make a lot of sense. Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Inquirer believes that the Patriots and Ravens are now the most likely potential trade partners for Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. And this is kind of what we've been saying for quite a while now. Ravens have been a little less of the projection here on this channel, but they're very much in the mix. We've gone over the Ravens as a potential suitor for Sadiq in the draft, or one of the rookie wide receivers, or A.J. Brown or Mike Evans. So they're definitely in the business of trying to improve around the situation that they have in front of them now, because the window is not necessarily closing fast, but it's starting to, with Lamar, you're at the peak, and how long will that peak last before things start to go down? So start making big moves. A.J. Brown could be traded for. Again, Munkin gone. This is a different situation to a degree. And another thing, too, that makes me think that this is likely for the Ravens is, the owner of the Ravens came out and said in the offseason that he doesn't want to be an owner 10 years from now, that he wants to win a Super Bowl or two and then get out. And he doesn't want to pass the business down to his family. He wants to sell it. So does that sound like a guy that's penny pinching? Or does that sound like a guy that is pretty much gonna try and do whatever he can to get that championship and then sell even earlier than 10 years from now? I mean, he's even kind of insinuated that if he won a Super Bowl or two, he could just leave right away, and just go out on a high note. So this is a very real possibility that A.J. Brown is a Raven, but I do believe the Patriots should be and will be the front runner, given that, A.J. Brown's going to be catching footballs from Drake May. But A.J. Brown does have a say in this. He can't have full control over whether the trade happens, of course. But when a player refuses to sign a long-term deal or an extension with the team that's receiving him, that team that's receiving might not pull the trigger on the trade. And that's where the player does have a little influence. And people will say, oh, you can't control where he goes. Yeah, he can. Because if he says, trade for me, I'm not going to sign a long-term deal at that price, or an extension or whatever the case may be, or I'm not going to play for you if you trade for me. Like they could call the bluff, but who wants to trade for a player? It's like, I don't want to play for you, or I'm not going to play for you unless you give me an extension. Like, who wants to, oh no, we're going to trade for this guy anyway. Welcome aboard, pal. Oh, you're not shaking my hand? Okay. Well, we'll talk later. Like, who's going to do that besides, like, the Browns? So, that's why he does control his destiny to a degree. Max Crosby. Trey Wingo says that NFL teams are potentially offering the Raiders 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby. This is why more smoke is present, and the Max Crosby trade sounds like it's gaining so much momentum to happen. And it's not a bad move. It's a move I wouldn't make unless it had the George Pickens situation involved. But that's me. I think you get the first rounder. That's tremendous value. We did this one already. That's all the news, ladies and gentlemen. We're caught up on all the news today. DJ Moore, to the moon. Love the DJ Moore value. Josh Allen to the moon. Luther Burden to the moon. Pretty much everybody involved. to the moon, except for, and not saying that he can't have a good year or that he's going to totally bust. But if Caleb, loses a player, it's not like he upgrades. Everybody else upgrades from this move. Caleb probably would be okay as long as Odunze stays healthy and catches the ball and progresses a lot. There seems to be some news trickling in right now. I've seen my phone going berserk, but I don't know that it's anything crazy relative. We got Philadelphia Eagles, AJ Brown, seeming like the Patriots are staying in Philly. So yeah, Patriots. We keep hearing Patriots. We keep hearing Ravens. A lot of AJ Brown speculation, but I'll tell you this right now: all of it is people just trying to predict what's going to happen so they look right. There's not a lot to go on. There's not a lot of evidence for this stuff. And I bet you if AJ Brown was on the show right now and we said, "Hey, is all this buzz about you true?" and he'd be like, people are really trying to just make stuff up and pretend like they got a source, or about 80% of everybody that's cranking news out on aggregate Twitter news accounts or podcasts, they don't have journalism degrees. They've never written for a website. They've never written for a newspaper. They've never done any scouting. They've never done any of that stuff. And they're out there just shoveling out this advice as if they're a true reporter and pretending they have inside information on trades. And it's wild out there. So be careful. I wouldn't stray too far from here and stay close to home, because your boy's going to break it all down for you like we know how to do it.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Rams, Tyler Higbee. And wow, this is kind of an interesting one. The Rams and Tyler Higbee have reached an agreement on a 2-year, $8 million deal. That's kind of an interesting move. Like, Parkinson's been fantastic. I don't know what that is really about. And, that makes you think Sadiq is not necessarily going to be going to the Rams. Sadiq was a favorite to toss out for people that were trying to predict a Sadiq landing spot. But I don't know that makes a lot of sense for the Rams now. If Sadiq were to, in fact, fall to 13, which he could, he's definitely a player that could go earlier, but he's definitely not a player that is a lock to go inside the top 13 or 14. But he should be. That's how good Sadiq is. Sadiq is one of my favorite tight ends for the future in Dynasty. And it sounds like he's not going to be going to the Rams here at 13. I mean, you could sign Higbee to that deal and still make the move, but Higbee to Tennessee, Higbee to the Washington Commanders, Higbee to the freaking New Orleans Saints, Higbee to the Kansas City Chiefs would be amazing. Higbee to the Bengals would be great. Higbee to not the Rams now. Higbee to Baltimore. Did I say Higbee? Why am I saying Higbee? Why am I saying Higbee? Somebody slap me. Sadiq. Higbee. Sadiq. Let me start over. Everyone's like, Higbee. He just signed an extension, you said. Sadiq, Tennessee. Sadiq. I don't want him in Cleveland. Fannon's there. What do we even do? I've seen that rumor. That rumor is as weird when people say things like that. Like, oh, they should bring him in. I was like, when someone says that, they should draft Jeremiah Love to LV, and that would be a good spot. Like, are you paying attention? But I've seen Cleveland and Sadiq. Like, why would they do that? You're going to move Fannin to wide receiver? It's not going to happen. Sadiq to the Giants is possible. Tennessee, definitely possible. They could trade down a little bit. Washington would be amazing. Sadiq in New Orleans, KC, Cincinnati. Baltimore to replace, Andrews, who's an old dog. Absolute old dog now. And, I don't know. You get to, like, some say Tampa. But I don't think he falls in this territory. Let's hope to God he doesn't go like the Jets or something. Vikings. The Vikings might cut Hawkinson if he doesn't restructure his deal. So, like, you never know if they moved up. But Sadiq's my favorite spot if I could pick one. Man, I really would love KC long term, but I don't know what it would look like in year one. Tennessee would be fantastic, especially if they bring in Wandell and they're not going after a bigger wide receiver. Then you're going to have that, like, a Mahomes-Kelsey effect. Lamar and Andrews effect for years. This is a good topic, man. I mean, Sadiq is that good. He's a freaking monster. All right, guys, we're not going to be here much longer. We're going to be back at midnight Eastern. So I'm going to take like rapid fire phone calls. So if anybody wants to dial in rapid fire style, I will have the 30-second timer up. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
30-second timer is up, and the phone lines are open. So hit me with your question. We'll be in and out today on the phone line. We'll be back at midnight Eastern. My Rumblers, let me go check out my Rumble real quickly, see if anybody's dropped any. Oh, God, New Age. And man, Smitty's the best, says Rosinator. Roz, you still here? I'm so sorry. I normally do not forget to check the Rumble side of the fence very, very often. But I'm sorry, my man, for not seeing your super chat earlier. Hang tight real quick, phone callers. I'll be right with you in 1 second. So we got Aldi in the building. We've got, hold on a second, Bruce. I'll mute you, or mute yourself real quick. USA, Landman, 420 man, Teflon over on Rumble. Rosinator dropping the $5 hauler over on the Rumble side of the fence. Roz, you still there, pal? New Age Outlaw gifting 2 memberships over on the Rumble side of the fence. New Age to the mother freaking
I smell meatloaf.
Love my boy New Age to the moon. Where's Rosinator? I hope Rosinator's still here. Rosinator must still be here because he was gifted a membership from New Age Outlaw. So hopefully he's still here. Roz, appreciate you. I'll give you another standing ovation once you show up. Travis, you're live.
Hey, what's up? So, I think Burden obviously, becomes the favorite to be like that, the number one, just with, he's Ben Johnson's guy and everything. But I do think people are writing off Odunze a bit. He's really good, and before he got hurt, I think his biggest thing is if he stays healthy, he's going to demand quite a few targets. And I mean, I like him. Right. I like him more than Burden, but in the situation, I understand why Burden would end up.
I think writing him off is the wrong word, or wrong phrase, because no one's writing him off. His situation just got better. Like Odunze's, stock is going to soar. But I think what you're inferring, and I agree with you, is I think people are not giving Odunze the benefit of the doubt of being the number one there or being equal counterpart to Burden. I agree with that. But Odunze is going to go up a ton in value. So,
I think with Loveland, a lot of people are assuming he's like the clear number 3 option, and I think it's going to be spread out. I think there's going to be a lot of weeks where it's hard to know which guy's going to be the best in that offense.
I agree with you. It's still very, very, very crowded. I mean, it feels like, they got rid of a guy, but it's like, damn, man, they got Komet and Loveland and Burden and Odunze, and they're probably going to bring somebody else in. And Caleb holds onto the ball so long that a majority of everything is, a scramble play, hard, not consistent, and so it's going to be hard to count on anything. That's why I say it'll be like 1 game off, 1 game on, 2 games off, 2 games on, 1 game off, 2 games on for Luther Burden to explode. Thank you, Positive Energy. Smitty's the best for sure. People don't realize the work this guy puts in. He's the only show that replies to comments and goes live anytime these breaks, takes random callers, is unbiased, truthful, GOAT. Thank you, pal. Appreciate the kind words. Kyler isn't the answer. Maybe not, but you certainly don't know what he is, bro, because he's been trapped in a horrible situation. So maybe he isn't. Maybe he is. Maybe O'Connell will get the most out of him. Handing him Justin Jefferson is different. And you could say, but he's had MHJ. And let me repeat myself. Handing someone Justin Jefferson is different. Like, McBride's amazing, but handing someone Justin Jefferson is different, bro. So buckle up. Not to mention the Vikings, what do they end up doing with this draft pick? There's certainly a capability of maybe improving things greatly for the Vikings. I don't know. Maybe they move up, maybe they don't. They're still there's still some consideration of trying to get rid of Addison and pulling Naylor into that number 2 spot. And it makes a lot of sense because I like Naylor a lot. I think Naylor could be as good as Addison, and Addison keeps getting in trouble in the offseason. Now, there's a lot of rumors about what about trading Addison and a pick for Mac Jones. Very, very, very likely scenario if a deal was to go down that the Niners would request Addison back in the trade. So that's something we're going to keep our eyes peeled for. New Age dropping another gifted membership. Thank you, New Age. Appreciate you. Who got that? Who got that membership? Somebody got it. Let's see. Mikey got it. Mikey, that's awesome, bro. Is Brees still worth going after doomed on the Jets? Yes, because the cost of entry bakes in the risk. It was more so disappointing that Brees Hall didn't become a first rounder with an announcement that he's in Kansas City. You know, the fact that he's staying means that he probably is staying around top of 3 return on investment. So the thing I would advise you to do is back off drafting Brees right now in underdog. Let's see where he falls. Try and get him in round 4. Because if you get Brees Hall round 4 and he plays like 3.1, that's kind of similar to taking him at 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and he plays like 2.4 to a degree. So I'm very much loving the appeal of a Brees Hall who the balloon got deflated and he falls to the 4th round. If he doesn't fall to the 4th round, you're pretty much getting what you pay for in 3rd round Brees Hall. But anybody that took Brees Hall before the franchise tag was applied and they assumed that he was going to be elsewhere, you didn't lose your shirt. You just took him where he belongs. He's certainly a top, 36 overall player. Capable, for sure. Silver says Odunze was 44 catches on 90 targets. Burden was 47 catches on 60 targets. That's why Odunze is being overlooked. But the thing is, there's a different targets. There's a different design plays. You got to remember Ben Johnson's trying to make, he has dropped some balls for sure, but he hasn't dropped that many balls. A lot of that are the plays he's running that Caleb is, missing on, because Caleb has a little over a 50% completion percentage. So you really have to look at that before you start looking at Burden. Burden did drop some balls, but he didn't drop enough balls. He could have, you could have even look at it like, he was just a step behind Odunze in terms of, what he, if you plugged him into the same targets that Burden got and Burden into the same targets that Odunze got, you might see a very similar result. But that might be partly why.
But like you said, with the routes he's running affects it. But Odunze, along with Justin Jefferson, if you look it up, faced if not the most, close to the most uncatchable targets in the NFL.
Yeah, it's more Caleb's fault than Odunze's. I would definitely say that. I think Odunze, when he finally got his chances, he dropped it. Kind of like Ibuka. Does anybody really here think Ibuka's not a good receiver? Please raise your hand in the chat.
Right.
Does anybody in the chat think Ibuka is going to drop footballs on the regular in his career? But when Ibuka was not being used and he was in his own head, and then he got a couple of balls thrown in his direction, he dropped them because he was waiting. He was nervous. He hadn't seen the consistency for a while. So, you could sit here and say Odunze is a guy that's going to drop balls. He wasn't that guy. Odunze was so good in college. And he's still going to be good.
That's what I mean by writing him off.
Yeah.
And nothing against Silver. If Silver doesn't like him, that's fine. Everyone has their guys. But
yeah, I mean,
I think
maybe some people are writing him off.
Yeah, he's nothing.
I just don't know how we're having a conversation about writing him off. And you're not totally wrong, because Silver's going at Rome Odunze pretty hardcore. I don't see how his situation just got crazy better, and people are down on him. I don't understand. His value just went up. And I don't know that his ADP, for these reasons we're seeing in front of our eyes, I don't think his ADP is going to climb tremendously. So, I don't know. I never said he dropped the ball. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're trying to say then. But, Silver, you're not wrong that it's ugly on paper, but I think it's not Odunze's fault. I think a big winner here is the DJ Moore trade is Colston Loveland's fantasy value. He may explode. Our CT. I don't know that it affects that much, to be honest, because he's going to be the first look that Caleb, the way I look at it, and I'm not trying to argue with you, but the way I look at it is if it's a pie chart and Loveland's going to get, this is going to be Loveland. I don't think anything changes. The DJ Moore volume right here, and this is Burden, and then you have Odunze trying to get slivers of it or whatever. Burden's going to jump over here. Odunze's going to go here. And I believe all of those guys were fighting for shares, and Loveland's just going to stay right where he is anyway, no matter what happened there. The musical chairs at wide receiver were going to be affected, but I don't know. It slightly could go up, but he could explode is an understatement because he's absolutely going to explode, and it's not going to be because DJ Moore's gone. But I mean, it's certainly going to be fun to watch Loveland, have a big year. But I do think we have a tendency to think something that looks so obvious is a lock, and we could see this go a very different direction than we think. We could be like, why is, what is going on in this year? Defense are going to prepare for Caleb a little different, and if they don't figure out the deficiency that Caleb brings to the table, which is holding onto the ball too long, not making the easy throws, this whole fourth quarter magician thing. This ice cold, he's so ice cold. It's gonna really turn to a block of ice. Like you can't keep doing what Caleb was doing, and they got so lucky. It wasn't just Caleb's clutch. There was so much luck and craziness involved at the end of the season there through the playoffs that if you think you're gonna live off of that, you're not, because you can't do that in the fourth quarter, especially with a year's worth of film the defenses have watched. It's not going to repeat again. Caleb has to come in and play 4 quarters of football or he's going to turn into a pumpkin. Now, I'm not saying he will turn into a pumpkin. He might play 4 quarters of football, but there's zero chance he's coming back to do what he just did in 4th quarters only. It's not going to happen at all. It's not even remotely close to possible. All right, hold on a second, Travis. Let me go through the phone line as rapidly as I can. Michael from San Diego, you got 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, man, I sent you a $10 super chat. I appreciate the advice the other day about DJ Moore. And yeah, it was the DJ Moore and Jeremiah Love trade, man. I got it done last week. So. Oh, yeah, you're okay. Hold on. I appreciate it.
Let me pull off of the timer and talk about this because we were asking who was it that did that yesterday.
Yeah, I missed the show earlier, but yeah.
Okay, so you ended up okay, so just to catch everybody up. Mike ended up having a deal where he was trading. What was the deal? It was you were giving up a lot.
I was giving up Bucky and Reshi Rice to get the 101, and you added DJ Moore.
Okay, so yeah, you were getting Love, and then we said, bro, like at the end of the day, you don't know what this is going to be. I like Bucky, but Love's better than Bucky. Let's get something. You're like, he doesn't have anything, and we're like, well, we'll read off what he has. And he's like, he's got DJ Moore. We're like, throw DJ Moore, and what if he gets traded to Buffalo? Look at him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, bro,
exact words.
Exact words. You cleaned up on that trade. We were wondering who called in on that because that was awesome. And we were hoping you pulled the trigger on this trade. I'm so glad that it ended up actually getting done too. So fantastic on that one.
Oh, yeah. That guy must be involved. He did the deal.
Oh, no, the group chat was glorious this morning. Yeah.
Can you avoid some of the expletives or just say expletive? But can you pull up the group chat and read it to us?
No, it was just people roasting them for sending that.
Yeah, but I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear some of it. Can you pull it up and read some of it?
Yeah.
Okay, here you find that, and if you have to replace expletive with the word expletive, just do that for me. But go find that if you can, real quick. Let me come back to you in 1 second. Let me go over to Bruce real quick. Bruce,
this is why I don't like making trades in February and March. Just stuff like that, man. Just guys who are ranting and just clowning. That's all, man. It wasn't anything crazy.
But are you? Come on, man.
I mean, there's not really much to read, but just laughter. Like, oh, Mike got
all right,
Mike
fine, Mike.
You over. Mike,
fine, Mike.
Move.
Don't want to entertain the chat right now. I get it. That's okay.
Nah,
all right,
man.
Mike. What else?
That's really all that was said.
What else you got? Can we call him? Can you call him on 3-way?
Wait, call me. Oh man, you're trying to embarrass him, man. No, I can't do that.
Come on, Mike. All right, Mike. What else you got? If you don't want to be fun tonight, what else can I do?
Last thing. I feel like Sadiq's either going to be a Panther or a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. To me, the range seems right, and they need tight ends. So.
Oh, Sadiq.
Yes. Sadiq.
Panther, Buccaneer.
Panthers are sneaky.
I don't know if I like that. I don't like it there. I don't like the Panthers. I don't either.
But
sneaky to take them, but
they might take them. I mean, they need another pass catcher, and I feel like they take.
He's not. I mean, if they move up, but they're not. He's not. Sadiq ain't falling to 19. But if they could move up pretty easily. So I don't know. I hope that.
That's why I said Tampa as well at 15. I see for fantasy wise, I get you. But
yeah, no thanks.
Football, I mean, I think it'd be good.
All right, Mike. Appreciate you, bro.
But all right, man.
All right, later. Yeah. Mute yourself real quick. I'll be right with you. All right, pal. Thank you. All right. If that caller would mute real quick, Bruce, you're loose. You're live.
Hey, Smitty. Quick question: How much percentage do you give Kyler going to play baseball? Because they were talking about that today.
Almost none.
Yeah, Travis is the baseball guy, so I defer to him on this. But if I was to just use my very limited baseball knowledge and just say I don't even need to have baseball knowledge because I just know Kyler. This has been an ongoing question, to be honest. You might not think it's a serious question, but it's been an ongoing question in Arizona for a long time for people. They're like, Kyler could quit football and play baseball at any moment. Don't give him the big contract. The guy doesn't like getting hit. He just wants to get paid. And that there's a big rumor, there's a big thinking here in Arizona that he's always wanted to get his bag, and then once he's got enough money, go play baseball. Now, Travis might tell you the transition's going to be painful and it's not going to work, but could Kyler in his own mind think he could do this? Because he hates getting hit, bro, which is weird because he's a scrambling quarterback. But there's a big reason why Cardinal fans did not want to extend him, because the fear was someday he's going to think he can do this. Now, Travis, you can speak to whether it's possible. My limited knowledge of baseball, I could at least translate over that being out of the game and trying to go play baseball is probably like trying to go, I don't know, be a aerospace mechanic, for me right now, tomorrow. Like, it's not going to happen. But go ahead.
I mean, like, hitting a baseball might be the single hardest thing to do in any sport, like consistently. So, like, the chances he would go back and dominate or be good is, like, extremely slim. I think what'll probably happen is he'll give it one more go, because he's going to get a chance to start wherever he goes this year. And, and if he burns out or fails out or it doesn't work out, I think he will go play baseball. He enjoys it, because that was the sport he was going to play until that last year of college, where he just went nuts and became, if he wasn't the number one overall pick, if he was going to be a second round pick or something, or a late first round pick in the NFL draft, he would have played baseball. So he likes it, but I think he'll give the NFL one more shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen it today, and I kind of got like confused, because I was like, wait a minute, I never heard one thing. I was like, I never heard one thing of him. I was like, I know he got drafted. I said, I never heard one thing of him.
I wish we could hear.
Saying.
I wish we could hear Denny's take on this. Denny, if you're out there, call in, or Gump. I'd love to hear Gump. Yeah, there's Gump here, buddy. All right. Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate you. We'll be back at midnight, pal. Call in at midnight.
All right.
You got another quick question, real quick?
Wait. Yeah.
Hurry up.
How mad should the Cardinals be, like Cardinal fans be, that the team just doesn't want to say Jacoby's our guy?
Pretty mad, but it depends on the alternative. If it's Malik Willis, I'm okay taking that gamble, because like here from a perspective of a Cardinal fan, which I'm never gonna even let that enter my mind when I'm on the show. I really don't. You'll never hear me be like, oh, I love this. I don't even think about the Cardinals that way when I'm on the show. It's kind of like, I don't know. I can't even explain the analogy. But it does make me a lesser fan. I'm not the same kind of fan of a team that you guys all can be in it. Sometimes I envy it, but other times it's freeing, because I don't have the depression on Sundays tied to both fantasy if my team does bad and my state team or whatever. I don't have the depression factor times 2, which is kind of good. So it comes with some pros and cons. I would say this. I think, if you're thinking from a fan perspective, is Brissett taking you the distance at his older age? No. So if you have an opportunity to throw away 2 really successful years where you maybe you make the playoffs and get knocked down in round 1, but you're just not a good team, but you're putting up points, or you get 2 years of just good fantasy football numbers, you're going to want to take the gamble that Malik Willis is better than that, and he's young. So you're going to take that gamble. So I would certainly, from a fan perspective, rather have that. Now, from a fantasy football perspective, no. Why fix what, isn't broken? Get Brissett out there, try and get Ty Simpson somehow. And, and I'm not saying, again, in most contexts, if you draft him, you just start him. But Brissett's so good right now that it's fine. And if he ends up getting hurt because he doesn't necessarily have the resume and track record to play 2, 3, 4 straight seasons, and he's older, Simpson would be in there in a matter of time anyway. And that's probably why you would go after Malik Willis anyways, because the odds of Brissett staying healthy for another 3 or 4 years is probably slim to none. But who knows? But Brissett is the answer for fantasy. Anybody that says anything different than Brissett for McBride, Brissett for Wilson, Brissett for MHJ, they don't know what in the hell they're talking about. All right, Bruce. Call it at midnight, my boy.
Yep.
Later. Kyler will be a backup to Mahomes. No, bro. No, he's not. I don't know what. It's like when a Niners we'll bring Kyler in to back up Purdy. like as if the quarterback's gonna go for that. What do we do? Why does everybody go to San Francisco? And why does every San Francisco fan think you can get players to forego being a starter to be your backup? The fairy tale world some of you live in. I'm starting to think Kyler's just lazy. He is very lazy. You're not starting to think it. That's facts. He doesn't want to get hit, bro. And again, he wants to play baseball. That is 100%. I don't know if he'll do it. I certainly don't know if he'll make it. But would a team like the Buzz and sell tickets and all that, they'll go down the road for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's a fun road to go down. They might even put him on the field, just to sell tickets. But
Think of how long Tebow lasted in the minor leagues, and he didn't belong.
Yeah.
Tebow played several seasons in the minor league baseball. They'll do it.
Il Phil says
he could still make it to the majors. He's young enough, but.
Yeah, Il Phil says he agrees with me on the Kyler getting rejuvenated. And it's not a guarantee. It's just it's possible. It's the one place where he could. It's definitely the place where he could. All right, New Age Outlaw, thanks again for the gifted memberships over on that side of the fence. I think we have another caller in here. Do we? Yes. 412, as quickly as you can, pal. What's your name and where are you calling from? You're live. And then Jonathan, I'll answer this in a second.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi,
Yes,
I love the channel. You helped me win both my money leagues, so much appreciated. What's the, I know it might be early to ask this, but what's the draft strategy, would you say, going into next season?
Best player available. I can answer that at any moment in time. Now, the question would be, what is my favorite strategy beyond that? And what I mean by best player available is not draft the highest ranked player on the pre-ranked list. That's auto drafting. Best player available is you can't walk into a draft, my boy, and ever say I'm going running back, or I'm going zero wide receiver, I'm going hero running back. Those are sub strategies that, yes, you need to master and maybe mock draft and maybe do some underdog $3 and $5 drafts where you can kind of throw money away to test things out or whatever. But you should always want to go into a draft and take the best player available. Now, when position of need is in play and all things are kind of equal, then yeah, you can obviously lean slightly toward position of need if things are pretty close, even if they're slightly off. Or you're looking at the board and the running backs are getting ripped off and you kind of got to off the board and you kind of got to sway yourself a little bit to go RB there. But at the end of the day, you need to draft best player available. Now, every draft slot's going to have a better sub strategy is what I would call the other strategies. And you just need to be versed in them, bro. The way you should look at drafting is when you're done with your draft or in the middle of your draft, you scratch your head and you go, oh, that's funny. I'm drafting hero RB. That's interesting. You know what I'm saying? That because you're drafting best player available, you're not interested in trying to force something, a square peg into a round hole. Your sub strategy should be something you observe that you're doing, not something you're choosing to do. Because you're leaving too much value on the table when you go after a position. Never draft a position, always draft a player.
So you would say to just stay adaptive and flexible and kind of practice the mock draft before just scratching your head, like, live in the moment.
You know where you can practice this is on my draft simulator. And my draft simulator has a variation to it to where every draft is different. It's not like you're running through. If you run through a 12 team from the 12 pick, the computer picks the same guy every time. I have a formula involved where the first round has a certain percentage of variation within certain picks. Bijan Robinson, Gibbs, and JSN and Jamar Chase, and those guys can only drop so much, but they will be varied within their bucket of range. And so just go over to my draft simulator and just start pounding the mock drafts, bro, and get a feel for what looks best. And what you'll end up happening is, instead of calling into the show, and again, it's a great question because a lot of people share it, so you're helping people out. But I don't mean this in a sharp way to you. But the thing you will be doing next time you call in is you say, hey, Smitty, I'm drafting from the 11 pick. I'm noticing that wide receiver's crushing from the 11 pick. How are we feeling about that being a place we lean, or we're seeing that it is a good strategy from the 11 pick? Hey, Smitty, I'm drafting from the 5 pick. I'm looking at RB. It's feeling real good there. You're preparing yourself for the race, bro. You don't go to Talladega and not run the track a bunch of times to get used to the turns and everything, right? You don't just go out there and go, you go out there, you get a lay of the land, and you start to realize, okay, are you going to stick to, a hardcore move where you're passing the driver on the left side of corner 3 every time, or are you're gonna play it by ear based on the flow of the race? That's what, when people say, I'm going to go hero RB this year. Like, you really? Okay, well, at Talladega, when I'm racing around the track, I'm going to take the corner 3 hard every time on the inside, no matter who's in front of me. Like, that's what it's like. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse too when people say, well, what do you mean best player available? All Smitty says is best player available. All I say is best player available because nobody listens. A lot of people don't, at least. It's the only way to draft, man. You just have to be so versed. You have to run the track at Talladega over and over to know that if I go in this direction, I'm going to be fine. If I go in this direction, I'm going to be fine. And then your realization is what sub-strategy you took. Like, you might notice as you're going, I'm going hero RB. You're not, no one's suggesting you don't know what you're doing. You might be like, I've drafted 3 RBs in a row. Clearly, you're going 0 wide receiver at that point. But you have to be versed in how to recover from that. And maybe you aren't going the 3rd wide receiver if all things are pretty close to even. If you've run a bunch of simulations and you're like, the receivers aren't going to be there, I have to take one now. It's all pretty close anyway. Boom. That's where you nudge yourself in a direction, but only slightly. You can't be taking a position. You got to take a player. All right, my boy.
Yeah, wow. It's like a Bible for me to go by.
It is. And it's crazy how many people don't preach best player available and they preach like hero RB. Hero RB and what? Like, what world do we live in where we can give someone a blanket advice like, go hero RB? Take one running back and then don't take another one until like round 8 when you don't even know what crew you're drafting with. The crew maybe the draft selection you have matters greatly. The player, the type of person you're drafting with, they might hoard RBs in such a weird way. There's so many different variables to give someone a blanket advice about going, whatever. If I had to give someone a blanket advice to go into a draft, it would be balance. Draft as best of balance as you can, because if you draft running back, wide receiver, or wide receiver, running back in rounds 1 and 2, guess what happens when you get to round 3? You're free as a bird, bro. You don't have a pressure to go here. The worst thing in the world is when you go wide receiver, and sometimes best player available leads you down that road. And you got voids you got to fill. But the worst is to go wide receiver, or running back, and then you get to the next pick, and it's in the same pick, the best pick in the draft is that same position. And you're like, shit, and I have to go wide receiver here. Oh, well, then you screwed up because you're forcing a position and you're not drafting the best player available. That is sad because you're gonna watch the player go bye. Can't take So now the one caveat would be you're in a 1 QB or a 1 tight end league and you've already drafted Brock Bowers at the bottom of 2. You can't take best player available. Loveland in 4. You gotta draft within the confines of your lineup and everything too. All right, my boy. I got to go. Appreciate you.
Understanding the league settings.
Yeah. Call back at midnight, bro. Appreciate you. Later.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Tootin, would you trade 27 second for Tootin? Absolutely, Jonathan. 100%. I would do that. Second rounder. What's a second rounder? We don't even know what it's going to be. You got to land it. You could miss it. Not saying that I couldn't be okay with it. You know, when you're on the clock and I go, damn, that player fell. Like I always do feel like that happens. But give me Tootin. ETN is leaving. Maybe not. But feeling like he is. BBQ with a $5 hauler. BBQ, appreciate you. By the way, Jonathan, I owe you a standing ovation. I'm going to try and stand for every super chat this offseason if I can. This one
smell meatloaf.
That one's for BBQ. BBQ, at least till we get to August 1st. You know, I don't know if I'll stand during August, but up to August 1st, I'm going to try. Missed the DJ Moore trade show. Do you see Allen getting the most out of DJ Moore with his OC calling plays? Just worried that the Bills still need a wide receiver one. I do believe he will be a wide receiver one for the Bills for sure. DJ Moore still has, I think, that ability. I really do. At 29 years old, I think he's been abused over in Cleveland or in Chicago. And, you know, especially in 2024, he was just wanting to give up, man. That guy was trying so hard. Now, can he stay healthy? You know, he's 29 years old. There's a potential he could get injured or something, but I do believe he will be the number one wide receiver there. And I think he has a chance to easily be a top 15 wide receiver, which would put him at like the second or third best or fourth best wide receiver 2 in fantasy. So should he be anybody's fantasy wide receiver 1? No. But could he be the third or fourth, let's say, best fantasy football wide receiver 2? Certainly could. I'm not going to say you draft for that. Not saying you count on that. I'm just saying you might get that, and you're going to pay a lot less than that. So the risk is low, the reward is super high.
I think he can be better than Diggs was in New England.
Yeah, definitely could. Yeah, for sure. I think DJ Moore could have 12 touchdowns, 1,200, 11, or let's say 1,150, and like 85 receptions or something. I think you could have something like that.
And I think he demands more coverage than Diggs does at this point in Diggs' career.
Yeah, we don't know.
I think he changes the game a little more.
We don't know what DJ Moore really is because he hasn't been spoon-fed. You know, he's living in the most crowded receiver room in Chicago with finally a passing game that was lucrative. And then he was obviously, you know, in Carolina back in the day getting abused. And then in Chicago, he was getting abused. Even when he had his top 5 to 7 wide receiver season, but depending on your scoring format, where Fields made him a top 7 wide receiver, top 5 in some cases. That was a crazy year. And even then, he was getting double teamed. He was facing number 1 corners. Now, he might do that again, but he's also got James Cook and a running mobile quarterback in Josh Allen that makes it really hard to key on DJ Moore in the same ways that. And I'm not saying Fields wasn't running and mobile. That's partly why, and another kind of reason why I believe it will work is when, and DJ Moore is transitioning from Fields a running quarterback to Caleb a running quarterback to Josh Allen a running quarterback. So he's very much in his wheelhouse and comfort zone. But that is Josh Allen's abilities to run will allow DJ Moore to just do what he did with Fields, even when defenses knew that it was just a DJ Moore and Fields show. Because Fields was so elusive, the DJ Moore, you know, bracketing him all day long didn't make a lot of sense, and it was impossible. So really do believe we're going to get a ton of open looks and good play calls and all that. Hard to say how it all ends up. You know, like they could screw it up, but in Buffalo. But I'm hopeful for sure.
I like this for Kincaid. Too.
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Thank you, BBQ. Appreciate your $5 super chat. And then we have one more super chat, I think. And then I think we got one more. Yeah, BBQ. And then we had Ill Phil with a $4 hauler. Appreciate you. It's a pear emoji description. I wish these characters came in.
It was like a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Pear giving a cup of coffee.
I like it. Nice. I see it on my iPad. By the way, my iPad, I give it to little Smitty once in a while. I can't blame her because I don't know. But I looked at the side right now. It's like it barely gets used. It's really, you know, I have all these screens and everything, but I have the show on the iPad. right here. It just says like a second monitor. And I looked at it, and it's like shattered in the corner. So I'm looking at it right now. I don't know what little Smitty was up to, but I let her play a racing game on it, and it's like the glass is coming off. All right, I gotta go, Travis. Any final thoughts, real quickly, on any of this stuff, and then we'll be back at midnight.
Just while we were live, a couple people in the chat noticed that too. The Rams gave Higbee a 2-year extension, 2 years, $8 million, which isn't much money, but it's kind of annoying just because Parkinson and Ferguson are there too. So.
Yeah, we did talk about that for a second.
The tight end spot.
Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about that for a second, and what I was saying on it was like, damn, Sadiq was getting a lot of buzz about going to LAR, and that seems out now. So, you never know. But
I could see them taking a receiver, but yeah. All right, thanks, Smitty.
All right, calling at midnight. See you, Travis. Thank you.
Later.
All right, guys, I'm live Monday through Friday. Thank you, Il Phil. Appreciate your super chat or your super sticker. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Thank you, Mike. Congrats on the trade. I'm so glad he called in to talk about that because we forgot who had said it when they were like, should I trade Love for Bucky and for Rice? And we're like, just get someone else. And he's like, they don't have anybody. Mr. Strange says, you sound like you have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Good talk. Cool story, Mr. Strange. Real cool story. My feelings are really hurt. I'll just move on with the show I've been doing for 8 or 9 years now. Thank you. I'm so sad. I mean, maybe I don't think he's talking to anybody else because no one really said anything. So I think this is just his viewpoint of me. Let's put it on screen here. You sound like you have no idea what you're talking about. Well, you could have fooled the I guess the 200 people on YouTube watching. And it's the dead off season, but I forgive you. You're welcome to stay, Mr. Strain, and learn something. It's up to you. Everybody drop a Trump wrong emoji over on Rumble, please. Like Mikey. Wrong. Huge comment. Wrong. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you all at midnight Eastern. Don't forget, I've revamped the fantasyfootballshow.com. It is completely redone. The draft simulator to the mother-freaking moon. Enter keepers. Take players out of the player pool if you're doing keepers that way, or you can write them in. You can write the keepers into the draft. Superflex, non-superflex, Superflex Dynasty, Superflex Redraft, just regular redraft, rookie-only draft. You can run every simulation that you and your mom can think of. And the rankings, I've got every ranking that your mom wants. She wants Superflex Dynasty, we've got that. Super Rookie, we've got that. Rookie Only, we've got that. What's Super Rookie? Go check it out. Lineup calculator for week 1 is already up. I got to enter more players, but it's up. Bowl predictions is up. And the bowl predictions is beautiful. It is a beauty. So get on over there and check that out. And then, of course, Patreon. All these links are in the description of my video. So if you're on Rumble, go to the description of the video. If you're on YouTube, go to the description of the video. But $10 a month, cancel anytime, is the 24/7, 365 live chat group. Please go check it out. I'll see you all at midnight Eastern. We're live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're also live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. That will be tonight. And then we're live at whenever news breaks. The Patreon link is right here, patreon.com/The Fantasy Football Show. Again, all the links are in the description of the video. Go check out the sponsors below. And if we do draft tonight, you'll want to be signed up on Underdog. That link is in the description of the video. Promo code Smitty gets it done as well. But if you use the code Smitty or the link in the description, they'll match your first deposit 50% all the way up to $1,000. So hop into a draft tonight. The new merch is up on thefantasyfootballshow.com/merch. If you want that logo, baby. Look at that thing. Look at it. Look at it. Just glance at it. And then the alt logo is fantastic as well. I gotta say, the alt logo is right here. I mean, I love both of them. They both hit hard. Oh, they both. I'm so in love with the logo. Sometimes the wide one looks better with, with what we're trying to accomplish, like on a shirt or a hat. Everything's a little different. The shirts are up. The fantasyfootballshow.com/merch. The hoodies are up. The hats are up on thefantasyfootballshow.com/merch. These are flex fit. There's a small, medium, or an XL, or a large XL. So it's basically like the two sizes in one. It's small, medium, and then it's large XL. Those hats are up. Here's the white version of the hat. Go check them out. I might make one with the wide logo on it. I'll do that probably this weekend. So if anybody likes the wide logo instead, if anybody wants to have this logo, that's the other alternative logo. But if anybody wants this logo, wait, not that one. Where is it at? Where'd it go? There it is. If anybody wants to have this logo on a hat, that should be up this weekend, and some shirts as well, because they're both fantastic looking, in my opinion. All right, see you all at midnight Eastern. Appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for calling in.